Did y'all just hear that Africa said that they are included in African Americans' reparations?
Still what? System failures and struggle?
Every incentive that Black Americans made to better ourselves in this country and to put in law, we don't get none of that.
Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome to Building the Verse. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
Did y'all just hear that Africa said that they are included in African Americans' reparations? So apparently Africa and the African Union, this 2025, they basically told America that they are leading the that they are leading the cause for reparations for African countries and people affected by slavery. So basically, they found out that African Americans have 1.7 trillion in spending power, right? That means collectively, we got the bag. Collectively, we got the bag. That of which we already knew. We didn't have to shout it from the rooftops, and we damn sure didn't need anybody else clocking our bag. And now it's at the point where the African Union is working with America and top American officials to both colonize the African American culture, but also to receive reparations. Did you know that they have now, the African Union have now been in talks with America about us, African Americans, being their property? Back when Big Pooh with the Loose said that he was going to pew pew America, and I told y'all, oh, don't worry, they sending boats around to come pick us up. That was why. Remember when I said that they consider us Africa's property? That was why. That was why them boats was going to be here. Because they consider us Africa's property, which means that Africa and the African Union is now fighting America for our fucking reparations that they didn't even help. You know how fucking delusional you gotta be to be trying to destiny swap with the same people your ancestors literally helped sell into slavery. Y'all literally caused it. Had you not what was the theme of the Sinners movie? What was the theme? You are the only person standing in between the demon getting in and out of your home. You are the ones opening up the door, the threshold. You have to invite them in order for them to come in and do that shit to you. Had you not invited those colonizers in there, they would have not only not sold us, but also, because wait a minute, they did turn around and put the people that were in power in shackles. Okay, they said, well, we're done with them. We also want you too. And whoever was left over was just left over after the abolishment of the transatlantic slave trade. Do you know how insane you have to be to think that you are entitled to some money that does not historically belong to you? Knowing good and goddamn well it had nothing to do with you. You may have been impacted by the slave trade, but the reparations that this country owes us is not because of the actual slave trade where it started. It is because of what has been done to us as we were here in this country. If you did not help build this country on your backs, if you have not been here, if you have not been shooting with us in the gym, you should not have your grubby, nasty ass hands out asking for money on our behalf. And the worst part about it is, but African America, they doing it right under your nose. That is why people feel some type of way about what's going on at Essence Fest. That is why we feel some type of way about y'all continuously trying to claim that we don't have any culture. And then the first opportunity you get to try and capitalize off of our culture, you got your hand out looking for something. You got your hand out looking for something, constantly wanting to be the center of attention, constantly wanting to be the the how do I put it? The one that everybody wants to be around. The one that everybody wants to be a part of. The one that everybody wants to pour money into or steal from. Golly, it is fucking exhausting being an African American. It really be your own people. Because when I tell you the hate comes from every single angle of the diaspora, and then to then turn around and think that you have the opportunity to eat off of our reparations is insane. I don't give a damn what money America gives to y'all. That shit ain't ours. That don't have African Americans' name on it. When we separated, we had to build our own cultures. We had to take some of our, our historical culture that was passed down to us back when our ancestors was in Africa, and we had to make something new of it. It's just the audacity to me, because I vividly remember the majority of my life being told by people from across seas and being on the internet and hearing people consistently try to undermine, undervalue, and to consistently try to tear down Black African Americans and what we contribute to this world, but then got your hand out looking for our reparations. That's insane. Are you not embarrassed? You should be embarrassed. That is insane too. Did y'all just hear that Africa said that they are included in African Americans' reparations?
I've been seeing this everywhere. It's not true. Like, what African? Which African? Who is saying this? It's not true. Yeah, no African said this. It's not true. Yeah, the CIA have their bots going crazy this month, working overtime. Yeah, there's so much misinformation going on recently. Most of it is just lies, man. Like, recently I went to watch Superman, and spoiler alert for the movie. There's a scene where there were monkeys typing misinformation. I feel like that's what's going on. There's a lot of bots, monkeys in the corner somewhere typing this nonsense. Yeah, no African leaders has said this. Like, you give them too credit. They are not smart enough to think about stuff like this. Yeah, they probably want to go and buy another house in Europe. Yeah, or they want to go and bow down to Macron or Trump, or their way in to be invited to the White House. That's what they know. Yeah, so yeah.
Did y'all just hear that Africa said that they are included in African Americans' reparations?
Yeah, that's a fucking lie. I don't know where you got that information from, but that doesn't even make sense. The entire continent of Africa wants reparations that African Americans are getting. That doesn't make sense at all. Africa is a continent made up of over 50 countries that speak different languages. Why would the entire continent want something that African Americans are getting? It doesn't even make sense. There's no articles on this shit. There's no proof of this shit. Bro, we ain't getting reparations. We ain't getting them reparations over here, so why the fuck would they get them over there? That don't even make sense. You gotta at least give me some evidence on this claim that you're making, bro. The entire continent wants reparations? Come on, man. I could slightly get it if you said Egypt wanted some, or Algeria wanted some, or Mali, but the entire continent, that's not gonna work, bro. That's a fucking lie. There's a lot of misinformation going out here on the internet. Watch your sources, guys. This shit is scary.
Still what? System failures and struggle? We come with customs, creativity, and the same resources your country's been surviving on since they touched our coast. Y'all are still digging into Africa for diamonds, coal, iron, and your favorite chocolate, but y'all calling us the thieves. How ironic. If anything, we're in the right to say y'all are the cosplayers, because you guys have stolen everything and then taken all the credit for it. That's just misdirected anger. You're mad at broken promises, broken systems, and you throwing the heat at the wrong people. And if you feel threatened, ask yourself why our presence makes you so loud. And anybody stitching my video, hey boo, I just want to let you know that when you misconstrued information, you make a fool out of yourself.
I really need y'all to stop saying that the only reason why foreigners have businesses is because it's easier for them to get loans. That's not true, y'all. I really need y'all to fucking see that. That's not true. It's about your credit. Like, it's about your credit. And sometimes foreigners don't even come to get loans. They use things called susus. Will all of them put their money together, and then how much ever money they have, they give it to whoever trying to open up a business. And then they do it every month like that. Every month they putting it back in the pot and they giving it to somebody else. So y'all got to realize it's a system, man. And a lot of people always want to make excuses to say why other people surpass black Americans. But it's a system that they utilize. They work together. And that's something a lot of black Americans stopped doing. We used to do it, but we don't do it anymore. It's like we just are looking at whoever's getting to the top. They're like, oh, pay me and I'll show you how I got there. That's not the way. That's not the way. And I'm a black American woman with a mother that's black American and my father is Caribbean. And I also have family who's Liberian. So I understand all sectors of it. And I'm telling y'all, a lot of us are our own worst fucking enemy. We always making excuses on why we can't do something. Work together. That's the only way to do it.
Every incentive that black Americans made to better ourselves in this country and to put in law, we don't get none of that shit. It goes right to immigrants.
If you think that we get help from the U.S. government when we move here, let me tell you this. We don't get nothing from the U.S. government. Nothing at all. But I'm going to take my time to tell you how we do it. See, when I moved to this country, I was about, 25? I don't know, 25, 26. That's how old I was when I moved to this country. I grew up in Congo, in Kinshasa, okay? I did not grow up poor. Not at all. I grew up in a 4-bedroom house with a dog. We had a chauffeur, a maid, and a gate man. That's how I grew up. I was going to school in a Range Rover. That's how I grew up. I went to private school. I did not grow up poor. Most Africans are not poor. We just have unstable countries. Unstable countries meaning, by the time I got done with college, I had a job. I was working in our family business. Okay, our business was making a minimum of 1K a day. A minimum in Congo, 1K a day. We were living good. Life was nice. We living good. Everything was fine. But we were still in an unstable country. Now, this is how the instability in our countries literally ruins everything. This dude right here becomes president. He was president for 2 terms. After his 2 terms, he decided he wanted to extend for a 3rd term. That's not in the constitution. Now, his fanatics was fighting to keep him in power because they were getting richer and richer every year. They had no reason to let him go because he was making them richer. You feel me? So these people started a procedure to keep him in power for a 3rd term, and the population was not having it. So this dude right here, to punish the population, literally crashed the economy. Literally. Remember, our store was selling a minimum of 1K a day, okay? We went from 1K a day to zero for weeks, sometimes months. And that happened overnight. That led to people getting angry. That led to violence. That led to a lot of people's lives being destroyed because of violence. All these people in power became brutal. They started targeting the population. They started targeting people that were against them. That's the main reason why a lot of people from Congo left the country, because they were being targeted by the government. You have to leave. If you stay, they're gonna find you and X you. So I found my way out and moved to the US. Now I'm in the US and I have to start from scratch. I literally have nothing. I cannot even get a job because I don't have papers. So first thing to do is go to the immigration office and get papers. That takes about a year just to get papers to work. So I'm just waiting. In the meantime, I'm getting taken care of by people in my community for a whole year because I cannot get a job. You feel that, right? So all that time, all I can do is research, learn, study, understand the country, and prepare. My very first job was a factory job. I worked there for like 3 months. Then I moved to a different company, which was also a factory job. I worked there for like a year. The whole year I was there, I was telling myself, this is not how it's supposed to be, and this is not how it's gonna be. When I left that job, I said no more. So I started looking for jobs that's gonna push me forward. I found another job, then another job, then another job, and before you know, I'm starting to make 6 figures, just like that.
Did y'all just hear that Africa said that they are included in the...
That's wrong. I'm gonna debunk it. I have my shades on, let's do it. I'm not gonna be talking too loud. It's 1 a.m. I'm not trying to wake anyone up. Yeah, you're wrong. Even the AI overview article that you showed up is wrong. And it doesn't look like it's an African-run website. But even that is misconstruing the actual point. Firstly, The African Union does not want African American reparations. They want African Americans to get their reparations as per their theme of this year. Your own AI overview literally says that. It literally says justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations. And if you read their entire declaration and call to action, it doesn't mention America once. It somewhat vaguely hints at Western powers, but to be fair, those are the people that they should be trying to get reparations from. As for the 1.7 trillion buying power that African American citizens have in America that's misconstrued, I'm about to answer. Firstly, they're not trying to steal your buying power. They're trying to take your buying power away from white companies and use it for their own companies. Are they equally as shitty as the other? In this case, I would say yes, because it's not necessarily trying to stop exploitation, it's just trying to redirect exploitation back to Africa. Also, the funds that would come from that 1.7 trillion spending power would not go to help African Americans. It would undoubtedly go to trying to fix certain issues on the continent of Africa. So I can understand your reluctance of giving away your spending power if you frame it that way. Point is, your 1.7 trillion spending power never diminishes. And if it does diminish, it's specifically diminishing in America and redirecting itself back to African nations, so that 1.7 trillion doesn't necessarily go down, it just gets rerouted, part of it at least. And I think that comes from the lack of understanding of what spending power is. And I would tell you all, I just don't feel like it. Actually, I'm already doing the video. It's long enough. I doubt anyone will get to this far. Spending power is the goods and services that can be bought with a certain unit of currency. So you see, that's where your spending power isn't being diminished. You're just rerouting it to another place. Pretty much done debunking her. So I guess I'll just talk about divisive rhetoric that African Americans and Africans, this isn't a unique thing from African Americans, just much more loudly because our voice has much more oomph to it. This divisive rhetoric of I'm not African, I'm indigenous, I'm this, I'm that, it's foolish because the only thing you're doing is making yourself look like a fool in front of the oppressor, and that's not what you want. And I can understand reluctance. This isn't reluctance, this is intentional. This is to divide the race. This is so that you can get more people on your side so that you can hate on your own race. And it pisses me off so badly. I wouldn't be surprised if I go throughout her account and she says something like Africans sold us to Europeans during the slave trade, yada yada yada. Because it's always that rhetoric, that divisive rhetoric that's misconstrued. The average African did not send you away. The average African is not getting any benefits from your exploitation. Don't confuse African elites with the African people. The same way I wouldn't confuse American elites with the American people. There are elites and then there are people. Africans are a people. The African elite is obviously the elite. Those are the bad people you should be reluctant of, not just Africans in general. Hell, we got our own African American elites. People like Dave Chappelle, Jay-Z, Beyonce. People who are here to divide us and exploit us for the oppressor's gain. Now, I hope this gets to her, even though it probably won't. I still hope and pray that this somehow gets to her and gets her to open up her eyes. If not, I'm willing to dialogue, text, either or. I truly just don't care because it's 1 a.m. and I'm tired and I don't feel like arguing. I'm tired of seeing the divisive rhetoric. I'm tired of seeing us hate on each other and like a silly game of who's this, who's not. You're not indigenous. I'll just say that. You're not indigenous. We've never been indigenous to America. We are descendants of Africans. We have no actual ties to this land pre-slave trade. We've only been here for 400 years. 400 years isn't nearly enough to be considered indigenous. We were brought here by the African elites and Europeans to be exploited. And that's a fact. We we are both continentals, diaspora, even African Americans, since they don't consider themselves diaspora anymore. We have all been exploited by the elites, by capitalism, by.
Did you all just hear that African said it wants reparation meant for African Americans? Africa, the whole continent. You serious? Let me ask again, what Africa, which part Africa, who said it? Because last I checked, Africa has over 50 countries, thousands of tribes, hundreds of languages, and completely different national interests, and none of them, I repeat, none of them have made any formal claim to African American reparation. So who started this lie? This isn't just some harmless internet rumor, this is propaganda. It's the kind of misinformation designed to make African Americans look betrayed by their continental cousins and to pit African descendants against each other again. This is digital colonialism and we need to call it out. See, you are witnessing isn't just people getting things wrong. It's narrative warfare. It's the same old divide and conquer trick. They did it during slavery, they did it during colonization, and now they are doing it through your algorithm. Because let's break this all the way down. First of all, African Americans are owned reparations, period. This isn't a debate, this is documented. Slavery built the foundation of Africans' wealth, free labor, extracted from black bodies. For centuries, generational trauma, mass incarceration, redlining, medical apathy, the receipts are endless. But somehow, instead of focusing on how that bill still hasn't been paid, we are now distracted by the rumor that Africa wants in. Now, this sounds like the digital version of "look over there" while someone empties your pocket. There is no credible African government official, no African Union body, no major Pan-African think tank who has made this demand. Zero. But people are running with this like it's gospel truth. Why? Because some random troll account said it, or some blue checked influencer with a burner handle, or maybe because it feels true to people already hot and already suspicious. And I get that. A lot of African Americans feel abandoned by Africa, and a lot of Africans feel misrepresented by African Americans. The mistrust is real, but there is exactly why this kind of misinformation works. It feeds on wounds that haven't healed. But the truth, we are all being manipulated. This entire African wants reparation lie is designed to pour salt in the sporal wound. It's bad, and we are biting hard. Here, let's talk logistics. Reparation, they were to ever happen in America, would come from the US government to descendants of African slavery, to immigrants, not to random bystanders, and then definitely not to an entire continent that never enslaved African Americans. Reparations are domestic debt, period. So why would Africa even want to insert itself into that conversation? If anything, African nations are fighting their own battles. Europe drained them through colonization, destabilized their governments, extracted trillions in resources, and then left them with IMF debt and puppet regimes. They got their own reparation demands to make just to not America. You want to talk about reparation in Africa? Go knock on Benglu's door. Go ask France about what they own to West Africa. Go talk to Britain about what they did to Kenya, to Ghana, to Zimbabwe. But the US, African governments are barely getting visa approvals. They are still begging for trade deals and military training. Let me ask you this. If your president can't even get into the White House without a second-tier invitation, you think he's bold enough to ask for a cut of reparations? Come on, man. This is where the entire writes itself. The same African leaders people are claiming wants reparation are the ones flying to Europe to buy condos. They are sending their kids to London for school. They are hosting French troops on their land. They are taking selfies with Macron and begging Biden for infrastructure funds. Reparations, bro, they hasn't even thinking that far. You give most of them too credit of political capital and they spend it trying to impress Western donors. They are not mobilizing legal teams to negotiate African American reparations. They are trying to survive debt traps, avoid cops, and maybe buy one more Mercedes before their term is up. And that is the hard truth. The African elites are not your Pan-African brothers. Many of them don't even represent their own people properly, let alone care about black Americans. So no, they are not asking for reparation. But now let's zoom out, because the real question isn't did Africans say this? We know they didn't. The real question is who benefits from making us think they did? Because the minute we start arguing with each other, they win. They being the system, the architect of division, the people who did rather have Africans and African Americans shouting at each other online than uniting against the people who actually profited from the slave trade. Because guess what? There is when shit gets scary for them. A unified black front is a threat. A unified global black voice calling for justice, for land back, for wealth redistribution, for historical accountability, that is dangerous. So they make up lies, they plant seed, they whisper that Africa is using you, that African Americans are arrogant, that Caribbeans don't count, that West Africans are sellouts, that East Africans are complete, that Sudanese hasn't black enough, that Nigerians are scammers, that black Americans are lazy. They have got a lie for every continent. Meanwhile, the money keeps flowing up and the reparation clause keeps ticking, unpaid. And if you are not careful, these lies will work, because lies are fast. They don't need evidence, they just need outrage. They don't require thinking, they just need your clicks and your fury. But truth is slow. It needs patience, it needs research, it needs people who care enough to pause and ask, wait, who benefits from this narrative? So let me tell you this, if you are mad at African for something you saw on a meme, pause, ask questions. Where is the source? Who made the post? Who stands to gain? Because real Africans, the ones in the village, in the slums, in the cities, in the diaspora, they are just trying to live, just like you. They are tired of foreign powers robbing them, tired of people's presidents, tired of being used for resources, diamonds, cocoa, oil, gas and uranium, and then told they are uncivilized. And African Americans, you all are tired too, tired of being denied land, denied justice, denied basic respect, watching your neighborhoods get gentrified, your children criminalized, your wealth stolen generation after generation. So instead of yelling at each other over fake reparation claims, maybe it's time we ask why they want us fighting in the first place. Because you know what is scary? We actually started comparing notes, started building across oceans. If we ask the real question, like who funded both sides of the Atlantic slave trade, who kept African under colonial rule for 100 years and erased their histories, who redlined black Americans out of wealth, then turn around and blame them for being poor, who is mining combat in the Congo today so they can build your iPhone, who is harvesting cocoa in West Africa for your $6 chocolate bar while the farmers make $1 a day, who is building the misinformation boats to keep us mad at each other instead of mad at them. You want to talk reparation? That conversation has room for everyone, but it starts with truth, it starts with naming names, and it sure as hell doesn't start with African wants what's meant for you. That is lazy, that is manipulative, that is bad. And you don't have to take the bat. So next time you hear something that sounds like a scandal, pause, because there is a war going on for your attention, your division and your ignorance. And the most revolutionary thing you can do right now is refuse to be tired.
And if you have watched up to this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. Alright, lovely. See you when I upload the next video.